Welcome to Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon, and welcome to another Wednesday deck profile. Make sure to like, subscribe and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of our content. We really appreciate the support, just help a brother out. Anyways, we're going into our deck today. Today we're looking at something that has kind of meta in it, but not really meta. As you guys know, if you are long-time watchers of the channel, long time being relative, seeming we started the channel last year, but we do enjoy non-meta decks on this channel. We have an entire series dedicated to non-meta decks in action. Our eponymous Jank Tank. Link to the description in that below if you want to check that out. I won the last one. Also, this deck has seen play in Jank Tank. It wasn't on film, but it does have a previous match on the channel, but not necessarily in this form. I will try and showcase it at some point. But this is my Titamon deck. Now, Titamon is just a very cool Digimon. I friggin' loved Ogon in Digimon Adventure, frankly. He was one of my favourite characters for some weird reason. I just friggin' loved his big, wide, gaping mouth, apparently. Sorry, sometimes words come out and I'm not thinking about what they are. And then the thought then follows. Yeah. Anyways, enough of that. Titamon is a really interesting deck. You can play it in a lot of different ways. This is the way that I'm playing it, going kind of more of a fairly inconsistent but kind of cool OTK deck. I may change it as time goes on, put in a few more other bits in there, but we'll get into the card by card. The first thing we've got is 4 copies of the BT11 Sunomon. I've been very tempted to swap this out with the BT6 one, the one I believe that when you trash a card, it basically gives you draw power. I can't remember exactly what it does. I will flash it up on screen so that you guys know, but essentially it's a card draw when attacking. I believe when you have a certain amount of cards in your hand or something like that. Also, I was very tempted with the ST15 one as well, which does something similar. Again, I will pop that up on screen because I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But the reason why I've gone for this one is to help us with that OTK, because when an effect trashes a card in your hand, this Digimon gets 1000 DP. Now, that's not a lot, but it can be enough, to help us clear things. If you can get up to 16 instead of 15, that can make the difference. That's why we're playing that. Next up, going into our rookies, we've got 4 copies of Goblin Mon, who I freaking love Goblin Mon's name. I know it's just Goblin without the N, or Goblin with a Mo in between the I and the N, but just something satisfying about saying the word Goblin Mon. But he doesn't have any on-plays or anything like that. Just when one of your effects trashes a card in your hand, gain 1 memory. Does very much help you out with making sure you can kind of get your kind of plays going. Obviously this guy's seen a lot of play in stuff like Labramon and everything there, which at some point I would love to do a Labramon profile on the channel, so let me know if you guys want to see that. I personally don't own the deck, but I believe a couple of the guys down in the team kind of do own that deck, so let us know. Next up, 3 copies of Labramon from EX4. By trashing 1 card in your hand, you may return a Digimon with Dark Animal or Shaman from your trash to the hand. We have a few Dark Animals. We have a few Shaman. In fact, our boss monsters are all Shaman. But more importantly, this guy has when an effect plays one of your Digimon, gain 1 memory, which does come up very often, especially once we're getting into our kind of final states of the game. Really, really great rookie. Next up, 3 copies of the ST15 Gazmon. All of its purple brethren have been limited, so I am running this guy. Start of main effect, if your opponent has a Digimon, gain 1 memory. That comes up more often than you think. And then when attacking, draw 1, then trash 1 card from your hand. Great card. Really, really cool. I'd actually be very tempted to play the Garurumon from ST15 as well in this deck. I don't have it because I kind of traded bits of ST15 stuff rather than buying ST15 because I was originally going to be buying it so I could go, I want to build Purple Garurumon, and then we all saw how that happened, how that went down. So, but I digress. Back into Titamon. Next up, we've got... Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. 2 copies of BT8 Gazmon. I've got my lovely campaign rares here. Just a floodgate. Your opponent can't gain memory except for Tamer effects. Helps us kind of stalling things out. Because this is a bit of a slow burner. A meta deck, it is not. You know, despite the fact it has formally meta stuff in it. Which we'll get to in a minute. Next up. Just going to check the amounts for this guy. Yep, 4 copies of Ogon Mon. You know, we wanted to keep this as tribal as possible, and Ogon Mon is a great way of doing that. When one of your effects trashes a card in your hand, gain 1 memory as your turn effect, and then his inheritable is exactly the same effect. So it really helps you, you know, the moment you trash a card in hand, gain a memory off your Goblin Mon. You know, really, really great. You know, just purple shenanigans all the way. Next up, we've got 3 copies, I believe it's 3, yep. 3 copies of Dabomon X Antibody. We do not play any Dabomons to get the kind of extra shenanigans off of his 1 Digivolving effect, but he does let us draw 1 if we Digivolve into him. He does give retaliation if we hard play him. More importantly, he has that when effect plays one of your Digimon, gain 1 memory, so it really comes up. I was very tempted to play this at 4, but the next champion is actually incredibly important for this deck. And that is 4 copies of an oldie but a goodie BT5 Black Growlmon. No effect as an on-play, no effect as a when Digivolving, only the inheritable. When one of your other Digimon is deleted, this Digimon gains security attack +1, which 2 of our level 5s can trigger, and helps us with our OTK, you know, potentially. Again, it's a bit of a clunky OTK, which, you know, any tips for kind of smoothing that up, let me know. I think I know a couple, which I'll get into as we get into the end of the deck, but yeah, really great. Helps us kind of boost our security attack. You know, Titamon was very much a, I think I said in a previous match, which I will link in the description, but it is a slightly different build for this one. I commentated on that match, and I did say in that one that when I was building Titamon, I was very much building red and playing red, and so I wanted to build a purple deck that felt a bit like a red deck. So making an OTK deck of sorts was my way of doing that, apparently. Next up, our level 5s. Got 4 copies of Black War Growlmon from BT5. Now, I'm playing at this at 4 because the next card we're going into, I only have 2. Otherwise, I'd probably play that one at 4 and this one at 2. The Digiburst effect of this never comes up. You may play 1 level 3 purple Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory cost. On-play effects of that Digimon do not activate, so you're never doing that. But it's inheritable of when attacking, you may delete one of your Digimon to unsuspend this Digimon. Comes up a lot and is part of the OTK with this. So you swing in, you then delete something with this to unsuspend, and then gain your security attack off your Black Growlmon. Really great. I still love this as an oldie goodie card, but I'd be very tempted to put this down to 2, to put the next one up to 4, just because its on-play is a little bit more relevant. And that is 2 copies of Cerberusmon X. To be fair, you could even run both of these at 4. Who knows? The next card is part of the kind of more thematic ways of having this deck, but maybe having them at 4 each won't work. Who knows? But on play, you may play 1 purple level 3 Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. If you've got Cerberusmon or X Antibody as part of the when Digivolving, you can also activate that. But it's when Digivolving is a draw 1, trash 1. So it's honestly far more useful than the Black Barrelmon. Has the exact same inheritable of deleting one of your Digimon to unsuspend this Digimon as well. So I think this is a lot better than this. I'm just playing this at 2 because I've only got 2. I really should get more, but I've had other decks I've needed to kind of update kind of in terms of preference. And yeah, we just decided to do Titamon, but I think I'd be very much wanting to get this at 4 copies for this deck. May even play some X Antibody in this just so we can get more of that inheritable. Who knows? Next up, we've got 2 copies of Rebellon. So this is trying to keep a kind of on-brand Ogon-ish. This is from BT6. When Digivolving, you may trash 1 card in your hand to have this Digimon gain blocker. and retaliation. So it can actually be really spooky. The amount of times someone's been like, oh yeah, I'm going to get game on you next turn, and then I digivolve into Rebellon, and it's like, well, if you'd like, come at me. And then they reconsider their options and they don't do it. Also, does not come up, but all turns this Digimon is also treated as black. This is an older card where dual colours did not exist. I think if a Rebellon gets printed anytime in the future, I think it probably would be a purple-black card, which would be interesting. But yeah, Rebellion's cool. He's a defensive option. That threatens them back as well. Next up, we've got 4 copies of our star of the show, Titamon. When digivolving, you trash 1 card in your hand, and then you may play 1 purple level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory cost. So bearing in mind, that doesn't give it rush. I was very tempted to maybe play BT8 Gatomon or the EX4 Geomons. In the case of the latter, I don't feel like we're trashing enough because we're not a trash from deck deck. So I don't think the rush comes up as much as we would want. And then with the former, so with the Gatomon, it's just too expensive to go into, frankly. But when you trash a card from your hand, you then gain security attack +1 and 2000 DP, which again is where that Sunamon comes in. So we get this up to 14, get it up to 15. 15 can clear a lot more than 14 can, despite the fact the difference is arbitrary. But yeah, this is your main kind of OTK tool. You want that specific stack of this, your Black Growlmon or your Cerberus X, your Black War Growlmon, sorry, then your Black Growlmon, as well as one of your memory gainers. Then you go into this, you digivolve. If you're set on 3, you gain 1 when a Digimon is played or when you trash. Then you swing in, 2 checks, and you'll unsuspend by deleting something. You give yourself an extra security attack +2, sorry. Swing again, clear the rest of their security. So really, really cool. Then you just need to make sure you have an extra body on board. I've been very tempted to play hybrids in this to kind of have more of a facilitation, but we do not play enough purple Tamers, in my opinion, in this current build. Our other level 6 is the 1 copy of the limited Anubismon. So when digivolving and main, so you can do it again, once per turn, you may trash up to 3 cards in your hand, then play 1 purple Digimon card from your trash with the play cost reduced by 3. For each card trashed by this effect, further reduce it by 1. So this is again why I think playing more of the Cerberusmon is a good idea, because we can play that out with this and get that on play, to just flood the board more. It does cost 4 to go into this guy, but again, we've got ways of cheapening things up. Then, when an effect plays one of your Digimon, delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. If this effect didn't delete, draw 1. Reason why this guy got limited, guys, but he has a lot of synergy with Titamon, and I believe there were people at the most recent regionals, or one of the more recent regionals, that were playing Titamon in Anubis, so that's really interesting. Again, I call this a Titamon deck. I don't call it an Anubis deck. But maybe people disagree with me. Let me know in the comments. Next up, our Tamers. We have... oh, no, not our Tamers, sorry. We, of course, have our level 7 Shine Greymon Ruin Mode. How could I forget him? Just the most standard boss monster in all of purple and yellow. There's a reason why in our Jank Tank series we've actually banned this card, because he's so generic. But when digivolving and on deletion, until the end of your opponent's turn, next turn, all of your opponent's Digimon gain minus 5k, so you can go up to minus 10k on their whole board if this guy gets deleted. End of attack, he does delete himself, go figure. Gives yourself recovery +1, also deletes one of your opponent's Digimon. Then you have a Tamer in play, hatch 1 Digi-Egg, so it helps you kind of get yourself set up for the next turn. The best purple level 7. I'd love to run Death Exmon, potentially. I'd love to give that a go, but I just think Shine Greymon Ruin Mode is the better of the two, because again, it helps stalling things out in case we've not been able to OTK. Because, for example, Titamon can clear all the security in one go, but if we don't have something else on board, we need to go into a ruin mode to make sure that we don't die, essentially. Next up, our Tamers. This goes against most of our trashing philosophy in this deck, but we've got 3 copies of Analog Youth. Obviously, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card from them to your hand, trash the remaining cards. Helps to fill up your trash, and you do want your trash somewhat filled. you know, as the game goes on. Obviously, it doesn't trigger any of our other trashing things, but when one of your level 5 or higher Digimon, as its all turns effect, is deleted, you may suspend this Tamer. If you do gain 1 memory. So if you've got a level 5 out, you delete it with your unsuspend from the Black War Growlmon or from the Cerberusmon X, then this can trigger, gain you an extra memory, put a Digi-Egg into your breeding area to help you set up for the next turn. So really, really good. Next up, our only purple Tamer is Matt from ST16. If you have 2 or fewer memories, set it to 3. Also, I'm fairly sure I've been saying ST15 this whole video for all of the ST16 cards. Soz. Anyways, when one of your effects trashes a card in your hand, suspend the Tamer, gain 1 memory. Just goes really well with the overall strategy. Then going into our options, we've got 2 purple memory boosts and 2 training cards, 2 wisdom training. Just nice and generic searches. I'd love to play more of these potentially, you know, but I think in terms of the general space, we don't really have that room. But you know, this searches everything that's purple. The only thing that's not purple in this deck is Analog Youth, and these search all of your purple Digimon, so works really well. Cheapens things, gives you memory. Enough said. Boosts and training cards, they good. Next up is, I'm going to do these in a 4 as well, because they kind of do similar things, is 4 copies of Underworld School and 4 copies of Pummel Whack. So these are very thematic option cards, but they do have a purpose. For Underworld's card, when you trash, as a main effect, you may play 1 purple level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory cost, and all on-play effects will still go off, which is really cool. With some of these older cards, they like to do that whole, you know, like with the Black War Growlmon, you know, you can't on-play things, it's too OP. No one cares about that anymore, but Underworld's Call was future-proofed, luckily. Then Pummel Whack, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. Just a cheap removal tool, can come up. It's not exactly a board wipe, but it's there. The main reason that these are here, though, is when you trash a card in your hand, when you trash this card from your hand, and that's for both of these, you draw... Excuse me, I'm dying. You draw 1. So really helps with kind of getting more cards into your hand, you know, so that you can trash them later. And it also gives you a kind of a specific trashing target, so you're not having to trash something that you might want to keep later. But yeah, that's my Titamon deck, guys. It may make an appearance in Jank Tank again at some point. I'm not too sure when. You know, and may just make a general appearance on the channel at some point as well. You know, we love non-meta at DU Digimon. We love doing that sort of stuff, and we just very much enjoy showcasing the less good kind of decks around there. So you know, so they get a bit of a spotlight. But let me know what you think. Let me know what improvements we could be making to this deck as well. This is much a area for me to get improvements from you guys as it is for you to steal ideas from me. You know, whatever's, man. But yeah. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Keep an eye out for our next video coming out on Friday, which will be our Red Hybrid versus Mastamon match. So stay tuned for that. But until then, keep it digital.